People go somewhere, they take a picture, put it on their Facebook, and then everyone arrives there. And it is 3 years ago when I went to the northern areas, I found that there was no place. All hotels were booked. And all of them, Pakistan had not advertised anything, but it was people going there and on their Facebook, they were putting the pictures. I went to this, and then I started looking for, because I've been in all the northern areas and all the mountain areas ever since we were in school, because our school used to, we had a very adventurous teacher who would take us to the treks up in the mountains. And so I was trying to discover, because the existing holiday resorts or tourist resorts became completely inundated. People were sleeping in cars because there were no hotel rooms. So I tried to find other tourist spots in the mountains. And, you know, our northern areas is twice the size of Switzerland. So I found this area. This was a valley far away in the mountain, 6 hours drive from Dir. And so someone took pictures of that. It put it on our party's website. And in the next 1 month, 100,000 people ended up going there. So it's completely, tourism has changed. So we are now developing this sector properly. We've got investment coming in, opening up more and more areas.
We're going to get to the big issues, but I'm a bit obsessed with the fact that the world, I don't think, ever sees this aspirational Pakistan. And I went and met with master's students at the university in Karachi, and they want to be part of the world, and they want to do business across the borders. And I think you have a generation that's very impatient with the politics of the time, that want to see and be part of the tech business and you know, be able to trade. And it strikes me that the SAARC region used to be the biggest trading zone in the world, and now it's virtually blocked. Do you think in your term or your lifetime, and putting aside what the big issue you're working on this week just for a moment, that we can see a time in which the region again will be functioning for the benefit of a new generation that has huge aspirations and expectations?
Well, we have suffered for two reasons. One, of course, the war. Afghanistan, you know, actually really the last 40 years, there's been turmoil in Afghanistan, which is why peace is very important. You know, why, which is so sad that this peace deal, which was about to be signed, certainly from a tweet we discovered that it had been cancelled. The other is
social
Iran.
Media seems to be running the world here. Facebook, Twitter.
So, and then, you know, Iran, because of this, what's going on right now. But Afghanistan specifically, because that opens up all the way from Pakistan to Central Asia, and that has tremendous potential. We already have this CPAC, which is this route joining Pakistan, you know, the Pakistan-China corridor. Problem, of course, is India, and I hope, well, I'm hoping, you always hope that this is resolved. And once that is, then Pakistan is probably one of the most strategically well-placed country with one big market, the biggest market, China, and then the other second biggest, India, and then, of course, all the energy countries with excess energy on the other side. Hence, peace is very important. The other reason why we have suffered is why countries are poor, basically. Countries are not poor because they lack resources. Countries are poor because corruption destroys their structures, their institutions. And it takes money which should be spent on the human beings. That money ends up being laundered out of the country into Swiss bank accounts and these offshore accounts, and in the name of companies, big flats in New York and in London. And this is the problem with the entire developing world. I have also spoken on this issue too, that if the rich countries really want to help the poor countries, they don't have to give aid to them, because aid doesn't do anything. It is minuscule compared to the money that leaves the poor countries into rich countries every year. It's over $1 trillion, it's estimated, which leaves the poor countries into rich countries. And the poor countries are devastated by corruption. And the reason why they are poor is they do not have strong enough institutions to stop the ruling elite plundering the countries. In fact, the ruling elite does not allow institutions to develop, otherwise they would be caught. So, number one, that money that should be spent to give jobs to people, should be spent on human development, is taken out. Number two, when the money is taken out, it has to be taken out in dollars. So when they buy dollars to take it out, it affects the currency. That devalues. When that devalues, it adds again to corruption. So the richer countries are not motivated at all. There's no political will to stop this. Like, for instance, on drugs money, there are very strong regulations. Even on terror financing, they've really tightened the regulations. But the money which is plundered from the third world, ending up in rich countries, I'm afraid we have been trying now for almost 10 months to try and get the money out. When we've even located the properties, bought from stolen money from our country, but we are just stuck. I mean, it's very difficult to retrieve that money. And if the world makes it easier, and I'm saying, it will help the big difference between rich and poor countries is growing all the time. And if this keeps going on like that, you will have to build walls and to keep people out from the rich countries. You will have refugees. Already you have economic migrants. You're going to have climate migrants in the future as well. But this is the worst thing what is happening. The poor countries are getting poorer. This money laundering kills far, far, far more people than anything else in this world, than drug money, drugs, or anything else.
We're going to also get back to this and turn to the audience. We only have about 20 minutes, but I will take, I think you're passing up questions, so please be sure to do that. So this week, you'll make your biggest pitch yet to the international community on Kashmir. And as you said, the expectations are very high that you're going to be able to move the dial, and you've been doing quiet diplomacy on this, and diplomacy that's made quite a bit of news this week on this. Do you feel you're getting a reception on your perspective on this, and is the dial moving?
Look, I believe that we could only try our best. The rest, you leave it to the Almighty. Now, I have tried my best. In the media, I've tried to make people understand. I've spoken to leaders, almost all the leaders I've spoken to. I think I have made them understand. They might not be moving right now, but I feel that what the Modi government has done, it's boxed itself in by taking this step. I don't think they have really thought through what they have done, because I don't know what is the thinking, that what happens. Have they thought through that when they lift the curfew, what will happen? Do they think that the people of Kashmir will now, after the almost 100,000 Kashmiris have died in the last 30 years? Do they think that they will now accept the status quo just because some parliament has passed a resolution illegally taking away their right, which was given to them by the United Nations of self-determination? So what do I think? I think that